Hi, Brie.
How are you today? Tonight.
I know. I'm already
late night session.
It is.
That's all I got.
I already broke the rule that I just said in the last episode that I would never do this at your creepy farmhouse at night.
Oh yeah, we're at the creepy farmhouse. Yeah. We're not doing a paranormal story. So.
No, but
Micheal
cat
Jackson
fucking scared me. Well, he could. His ghost.
Great,
so really,
he knows what he did.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Although he could try and come and tell us that's ignorant. So, you know.
Or he can be like, you guys are still wrong about me.
He could, but I doubt he will.
I found some things out today that I'm
gonna drop some truth bombs.
And if anyone knows me, they know that
Yeah, why don't you kind of give your little backstory on how much you love him? So when for instance, when I watch this documentary...
Let's first we're going to talk about Micheal Jackson today. I don't know if we said that yet.
We said it like 17 times the last episode. So.
Okay. So today is the Micheal Jackson episode. And by the title that we come up with, I'm sure you'll figure that out too. So anyway, I was thinking of some titles today.
Oh, is it going to be like these horrible innuendos? Like
it's going to be
Red Rocket or something?
No. Don't make me start crying already.
I know. I'm sorry.
It was going to be like, what the fuck, Neverland? That was one of my thoughts for the title. Because everything right now is like about leaving Neverland, coming back to Neverland. I couldn't name it Return to Neverland because that's a great movie starring Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet.
Oh, shit, that is.
Oh, wait, that's Finding Neverland.
Oh, you know what? The Return to Neverland was they actually, when Oprah did her interview, that's what the little, the PowerPoint said or whatever.
I have loved Micheal Jackson my entire life. My mom's always been a fan. We've always listened to Micheal Jackson. He's like one of my heroes for sure, like my whole life. And I've always stood firm in my beliefs that he never abused a child. I figured, yeah, he probably had sleepovers with kids. He had a really fucked up childhood. He has a lot of mental issues, I'm sure, and he didn't have a normal upbringing at all, right, and was abused, and all the things we've heard about his family life. And so I, like most of his fans, made excuses it's Micheal Jackson, all he preaches about is love and caring and how much he loves children, and how could he ever do anything like this? How could he ever do anything like this? And also he's like a little boy himself. He's just trying to be a kid, all that stuff. Yeah. Always believed it. I mean, until last week.
Yeah, that's...
And stood firm in that belief.
Yeah, see, for me, I was the exact opposite. But at the same time, I wasn't a big fan. I really never listened to his music. And even though I was probably around I was older than you, so I probably would have listened to it more than you would have anyway, but I never did. Really the first time I actually listened to his music was the Free Willy music video.
Oh my God.
Was it River Jordan or something like that?
It's called Will You Be There?
And it was amazing.
Micheal Jackson song. I watched the music video today.
Did you? Did you cry? Like Jordan
And then
did?
I was like, this song's about little boys. Great.
Yeah. What was about Jordan? I'm just kidding. It's not about Jordan at all.
Oh, fuck.
Just fucking blew your mind, didn't it?
Oh, no. Jordan is the names of one of the little boys.
It was.
That came out with these allegations.
Yes. But
in 1993.
that was the first time I really listened to him, and then I get it confused between that and the Super Bowl. I remember him singing at one of the Super Bowls, and it was the one where all the audience participated where they had like these little cards and they held them up and it made like it's like heal all the children of the world and they had all the and I was like, this is weird. I at that point in time I don't think I really registered it because it was just like, all right, there's this weird lady man dancing around and I don't know, there's kids all around, but I didn't really, again, wasn't a big fan of his music, so I didn't really whatever. So when I heard about these allegations, like in, was it 2004?
Mm-hmm. That was
no,
like
that can't. It's
2013.
No, he was dead by then.
2005.
2005.
But the first one was.
I was like, he's fucking right. But the 2000, the trial is what I really remember. I was like, yeah, he's fucking guilty. He's who sleeps in a who does that? I never really was like, why is this even a thing and how did he even get off? And it was like, well, you know, money, so whatever. And I lost my train of thought.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, the point is, I always thought he was guilty. But again, this comes from a person that wasn't a big fan of his music. So I was like, whatever, he's guilty. And I did hear, I think somewhere in the trial at the time, when they kept using that excuse, was like, well, he just acted like a little boy. Like, well, what the fuck? Like, wouldn't that be a big red flag to you? But again, I get it. It's a double-edged sword in a sense. Because it's like, well, he was Michael Jackson. Nobody has that star power. 1,000%, I get that. But it's always a but for me. Because
well, obviously, I think those
but
parents
I get the star
are,
power.
like, not mostly to blame. But they have a huge part
in the documentary. I mean, like, when that really, like, she's like, well, Jimmy Safechuck. Right? Mm-hmm. Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy
Safechuck
is one of the
I've
boys.
been calling him like Hard Chuck, and which is a horrible thing, and Go Jimmy Chuck and Chuck. Wish Chuck, and I don't know. So I couldn't remember which Chuck he was.
A woodchuck.
A woodchuck. So.
How much wood could a? I'm not finishing.
Yep,
you guys
don't
can fill in the blanks.
Oh, they will.
Oh God, Michael. So, I mean, I would have arguments. I'm pretty sure I've had an argument with you about how he never did anything.
Oh, I remember you would get so pissed off. It was
fun heat.
But you were. But
it was a fun capsation.
The capsation. Always come back to the capsation. But I think I remember being in the kitchen a couple times when we would like continuously poke fun at you. And there was one point
I was
you were
always
getting
firm
really,
as fuck.
Yeah, and there was at one point you would get really pissed off because you were so adamant. Because you're like, no, he's fucking innocent. He was proven innocent. I'm like, was he though?
I know. Naive, just like everyone else. He put everyone in a
spell.
Which is fair.
Look at who I get it. Coming from somebody, I mean, you being a fan, I get it. Wanting to believe. And it's so hard because...
It was like finding out Santa Claus is a child molester.
It's pretty much the same because he did hand out toys a lot.
He did. And, okay, so we're talking about this is all sparked by this documentary, Leaving Neverland. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Came out on HBO.
Like
I'm pretty
March
sure everyone knows about it.
Like that.
If you guys haven't seen it, beware. It's really heavy.
It's not just heavy, it's fucking graphic.
And it's also, like, it's not, there's an after thing with Oprah, and the director says, like, she asks questions, like, one of the questions she asks is, like, the Jackson family is, like, coming at you and saying, like, they didn't even get other sides of the story, and the director's like, this story isn't about Michael Jackson. This is about these two boys' experience with sexual abuse. And I wanted to show, like, how this can happen with love and not just, fear. It can happen this way, too. Yeah. And it's not about Michael Jackson this time. It's about these boys' story. Yeah. It's about their experience. Yeah. And I just thought that was,
And it was really beautifully put, and her whole interview was.
They were fucking graphic.
They were.
They didn't hold back at all.
No.
And now they're 40-year-old men.
Jimmy Safechuck did more so
Yeah.
than Wade. But I think we discussed that they're in two different,
Yeah.
like, kind of points in their healing process, which is fair. But Jesus Christ, Wade didn't hold back at all.
No, and I feel like it seems like Wade's had more. I mean, I don't know, but everyone's different. Like, how do you even, like, know a right way to
I get what you're trying to
recover
say.
from
It seemed
that?
like a more of a, how do you say that?
Like, he seemed more, like, able to, like, he's come to terms with more of it than Jimmy still has. Because,
but I feel
like we talked about, too,
right.
Jimmy's, like, it seemed like Jimmy was talking about Micheal Jackson in the present, like he was still alive. Like,
right.
And Jimmy, like, it, like, kind of seemed real to him. Like, it seemed like he still loved him. Like, he also said to Oprah, like, I had guilt about coming to the show to talk to you about it because I, like, after he spoke his truth, like, he felt guilty for doing that to Micheal.
Right, but I loved at the very end where Oprah was like, no, we're all going to get it. And are you guys ready? It's like she was looking at the audience and going, were you guys ready for it? And then she looks at those two boys and they go, are you ready for it? And Wade's like, whatever. And he was like, Jimmy was like, I don't want it. So I watched it. You watched it.
Yep.
And you believe them.
I believe them
100%? What is not, like, what's with the Because I have a too.
You do? What's your
My is, and again, who's to say? It's just my opinion, and maybe it's just, again, we're looking at two guys that are in totally different points in their healing.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't want to say Jimmy sounds more authentic, but there's some things that Wade says that I believe everything that he says. 1,000%. I believe that he was abused. Absolutely. But they seem so over the top, it's hard to relate to him, and it's hard to... It just feels like he's putting on a really thick... And again, could be just the anger, and he's just so pissed off because I think he says somewhere in the documentary about, I've had to say the lie for so long, and that he's angry, and that's totally fair. But to me, I don't know. It just something
like,
feels
over the
off
top
about
just
him.
Because like they said every detail,
right?
Like,
and it's not
so
that it
many
like
details.
right. So it's not that. But I mean, so did Jimmy. I mean, maybe a little bit less than Wade, but Jimmy still is very graphic with his details. But to me, there's just something about Wade that just rubs me the wrong way.
And I can see that he was a little like cocky about it.
And maybe
almost.
that's all it is, and I just didn't like that. But again, it could be just the way
up drink.
I know. Just the way that he presents it, and that could just be how he's healing from it, and it's not I can't say how anybody heals from their stuff.
No.
So, but to me, with Wade, there's something about him
maybe a
that
little over.
Yeah, and again, he could be being 100% truthful. Again, we'll never know, but there's just something about it that doesn't feel quite right. But I believe that it happened to him. Yeah. Absolutely. I would never say that it didn't.
But yeah.
But what about for you? What's the for you?
It's the way Wade's is. But I mean, yeah, exactly. Like,
who's to say?
Who's to say how people are gonna cope from things? And like I don't know. I just feel like now that they're grown men, and like Wade says that he didn't even like. Obviously, he testified. So Wade Robson is one of the boys that now is coming out saying that Micheal did this to him and sexually abused him, and he testified twice in court saying that he never touched him inappropriately, anything like that. Went through all the interrogation, all the things, and I just like I feel like maybe I don't like he kind of seems cocky in a way to me about it, but
and that's what I think is
maybe it's like, and I think but I feel like he
But he has every right to at the same time. So I get it.
Yeah, and now, like, it took him till he was, like, 25 to realize that it was sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And realize what it had done to him because he, like, they both went through separate, like, nervous breakdowns.
Right.
Like, and they didn't know why it was going on. And then they were, had therapy and they were able to figure out, holy shit. And, I mean, when you're that young, like, when you're 7 years old and they talk about how, obviously, Michael Jackson was their idol. Michael Jackson was the biggest celebrity. Yeah. He's the biggest celebrity that's ever lived still to this day.
Yeah,
and, like, there's, like, you know, Beyonce might be close now.
She's pretty close. And Lady Gaga, but it's nothing like, compared to what
my
that
dad's
star power.
won't ever listen to Beyonce, you know? Like,
absolutely not.
Michael Jackson spans across all ages, like, he's the biggest star ever.
Yeah.
And as a 7-year-old, if you're looking up to someone like that, like, and then they want to hang out with you, like, that, I can't imagine if, like, NSYNC wanted to hang out with me. Like, I had you know, like, could you imagine that? And Michael Jackson knew he was doing that. Also, like, he talks about how he felt like, when he was testifying in court, saying that he didn't ever touch him, he felt like he was saving Michael's life, like, because he was always told that, if you ever tell anyone, we're all going to go to jail, our lives will be over, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously hearing that starting as a 7-year-old boy for, like, you know, your childhood, like, and also coming from someone that you're obsessed with, who's literally your God when you're that little, like, that is your God. Like, you don't know anything else.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that
he took advantage of that.
He could take advantage of that, like, because of who he was. And
I think that's what I think fans like you are having a hard time swallowing, is that he just, you know, he was more conniving than he pretended to be, like, this innocent 9-year-old little boy, and he was much more than that. And because there's just no denying it anymore.
No.
So it's just...
I just never thought he was capable of anything like that.
Right.
And, like I told you earlier, I went in a loophole today on my Saturday. I did laundry and researched Michael Jackson shit.
A loophole? Do you mean a rabbit hole?
A rabbit hole,
Not a loophole.
A loophole? No. Rabbit hole, definitely. Rabbit hole. I skipped.
It's like when somebody says, like, I did a 360. I'm like, did you mean you did a 180? I don't.
Whatever a
loophole is.
Yeah, that's not the right word.
Anyway,
a rabbit hole. And where was I going with that?
Well,
I found out some shit. Yeah. So,
again, you're way more prepared for this week than I am, but. I mean, obviously, we wanted to do this because it was, a big part of pop culture. It was a big part of pop culture.
Oh, for sure. And it really hits close to home for little old Brie.
This episode might be a little more down than the other ones, but we had to cover it because it's Michael Jackson, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So, like I said, I just found out some shit that I never knew, and I've just reinforced the beliefs that there's no way this didn't happen.
Yeah. See, for me, I'm sorry, but I'm a bit more of a lighthearted, because I guess for me, I'm not a super fan, and maybe you wouldn't categorize as yourself as a super fan, but for me, when I watched the whole...
I'm a fucking...
right, so you're... if you're just a fan... I was never a fan. So for me, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, so for me, it's hard to see it through your eyes, where you're like, well, you would fucking do that if he was fucking Michael Jackson. Like, the mom was like, well, okay, well, the first night I was adamant he was going to stay in his room. And the second night I was like, okay.
I mean, I would never, ever.
But I get what you're saying, but it's
hard for me to... They're starstruck, and he put on this facade, like... He put on this facade for people that he was... I mean, obviously, he was a victim of child abuse. We all know Joe Jackson beat the shit out of them.
To greatness.
Yeah, for greatness, I guess. But, fuck, I keep losing my train of thought.
It's okay. What I'm saying is, like, I get what everyone talks about, that star power, but I guess for me, it's hard to kind of see through that lens, essentially. But I understand what you're saying, going, he was so massively huge that how do you not get sucked into that? How do you not, just be like, of course my son can go hang out with him, because what could happen? I mean, he's the biggest, go.
Yeah.
Go, little Jimmy. Go.
Come, little
go.
children.
Just like that. It was fucking Sarah Jessica Parker just singing
Hocus
on a witch's
Pocus.
broom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. I mean, because people put celebrities on a pedestal like they're these perfect human beings.
Back then,
they're like not human.
Yeah, but back then there was no social media. There was none of that. So for them, it was like, holy shit. It wasn't like they were seeing it in their fucking face.
No, every
24/7.
second.
So to see them interact with them, I can't imagine. But at the same time, like, I can't get into that mindset where I'd be like, just here's my child.
I guess
But I get it's just such it's such a story.
And also he put a spell on these mothers for sure.
Well, he groomed them too.
Yeah, exactly.
1000% fucking groomed
and he
them.
knew he could. And like every woman he was like best friends with Elizabeth Taylor. When I watched this Oprah documentary or Oprah interview with Micheal Jackson from 93, and she had Elizabeth Taylor. It was actually a weird, you guys should watch that interview. It's kind of weird. It's 1993 Oprah interview with Micheal Jackson. It's his first interview in 14 years. Like he didn't talk to anyone. He stayed secluded. He put out his music, didn't give any interviews at all. So this was like the first interview he had in 14 years. Okay. And this was actually in 1993 is when the allegations came out, the first ones.
I remember that.
And this interview came out like before that happened. And he decided to break his silence or whatever. Anyway, or like be interviewed by someone because he had all these other allegations about all his plastic surgery, all his skin bleaching, all these other things. So Oprah was asking him all about that stuff.
Right.
There's nothing about child molestation there. I think she did ask him, like, why do you always have children around you? And he was like, I love children. Like, I didn't get to do the thing, like he, said his usual thing.
Not a fan, I'm just like, isn't that fucking weird? Yeah. Like, I guess.
It's because the fans know his story, so it's like, oh, that makes sense. His dad beat him. He never had a childhood, like, and he just kept saying the story. And then it's true, kind of, but like also he used that as a big fucking
fraud
magical thing.
Yeah.
And so he didn't do an interview for like 14 years.
Yeah.
And in this interview, Oprah's like, how have you been doing? Like, he's like, it was a really dark time in my life. And he talks about how he's so he doesn't look at himself in the mirror because he's so unhappy and he's so sad about things. And he talks about his childhood and how sad he was. And he would just cry every day and all these things. Anyways, she surprises Michael with Elizabeth Taylor, who like adores him, and they're like really good friends. Okay. And she comes out and sits down and she starts talking about him. And it's really weird because like she sits down in the chair he was sitting in and he's like standing next to her. But he's standing? He's standing. Okay. Like behind her. She's sitting in the chair. And Oprah's across from them. And
so he's standing behind her and everyone else is sitting.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
Elizabeth Taylor surprises, and then like he gets up so she can sit down. So then he's just standing.
Okay, it's weird, but okay.
But the weird part is like Oprah's asking Elizabeth like, what do you want people to know about Micheal Jackson and blah blah blah, and he doesn't look at Oprah once, doesn't look at Elizabeth Taylor at all. He's like looking off into the distance, like stone face, doesn't even like crack a smile. Like it's very strange to me.
Right.
Like it's. because she's saying all these incredible, amazing things about him, and like, I don't know, it was just kind of weird to me. Maybe I was reading into it, but it just seemed like he was...
Yeah, it's hard not to read into anything now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Because I'm always going to be like...
Yeah.
Billie Jean's about a little baby boy! Just kidding.
Could be. I don't know.
It's not. It's about... Obviously, he's not with a girl.
Oh.
Just kidding. So, yeah. So, that was weird. Let's see. Oh, and then he, like, talks about his father a lot, and...
In that Oprah
In the Oprah interview. And he's like, I love him, but I don't know him. He, like, talks about how his mother was perfection, and, like, he did talk about... He, like, says in the camera, like, he looks at the camera and says, I'm sorry, Joseph, please don't be mad at me. And then he, like, talks about some
Jesus.
shit. Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. And, like, he
awful.
talks about how his mother definitely beat him, and with just a look, you'd be afraid. Like,
right.
He also talked about in other interviews how he would, like, throw up when he was in the presence of his dad, because his dad kind of looked like an evil man.
Yeah, he did kind of look like an asshole.
And, yeah, his dad, I also found out, literal rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Found out that his dad wanted to be a, like, famous boxer, and he was, like, going to be a boxer, and then he ended up having kids and gave up that dream so that he could have kids and raise a family. So then he, like, went into steelworking, and then they realized their kids were fucking amazing at music. So he was like, okay, we're gonna get you guys in the showbiz.
Yeah.
But yeah. But Michael did say he forgave his dad.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's
Did
true.
He really?
Who knows?
Who knows? We'll never know.
And then also, did you see the thing that LaToya Jackson came out with? Like, I think it was around 93.
I remember seeing some
that
interview with her. I don't know if she did multiple interviews. I remember reading something that one company had tried to pay for an interview, but they ended up not getting what they wanted from her. But the interview that I did see, I don't know if it was with a specific reporter, but it was where she fucking called him out and called out her dad and was like, "Oh no, I was sexually abused."
Yeah, and her older sister.
Her older sister. Well, is she the youngest?
No, she's like the second oldest, I think.
Okay, so her oldest, and then she says, she's like, Janet has never talked about it, but she never says that Janet Jackson was. I don't know.
That family's always trying to cover up shit for each other, you know?
Right. So she never says Janet
about
was.
The father
and I don't know why I'm referring
Michael.
to Janet like I know her, but I don't know her.
Janet.
But she claims Janet Jackson probably was if they all were. So, but
the
Janet
oldest
Jackson
sister
never has never
out.
admitted anything to that, and she keeps herself very distant. Kind of like now, like she hasn't given a statement, at least to date, about Michael Jackson or anything like that. She's got a Vegas tour, I think, that's coming up or whatever, and she has not said anything about what her family is. I think the family's pissed off at her now because she's
not standing up.
She's not standing up for her brother. So, anyway, what were you gonna say? I was speaking loudly.
The oldest sister moved out when she was 16. Apparently.
And that's what she said. That's what LaToya was saying, is that once
she
left
LaToya
that's when LaToya got it.
Yeah. And then, LaToya
talks about how
she loves her brother, but like she
knows that he's a pedophile.
And that he's doing inappropriate things with these little boys, and she's been abused as a child,
and
she can't let this happen.
That was crazy to me, is that she was saying that since 1993, and he was still getting away with murder.
Yeah. And also, so LaToya Jackson at this time was estranged from her family.
Yeah. I feel like she still is.
She was married to this guy who apparently they got married, like he was kind of like her bodyguard because the family was trying to kidnap her.
I didn't know that.
Some crazy shit. But because she was like running her mouth about the family, I think. So she's estranged from them, and then whatever. So she married this man, and he was like her protector from her family, I guess, or something. Right. And then she said that, yeah, this stuff about Michael is true, and that she's seen checks that he's written to these families for ridiculous amounts of money. She doesn't know why,
Right.
but she knows that they're crazy amounts of money to these families of these boys that she knows
Right.
this is happening with. And then I was digging deeper, and then like later on, and like a couple years later, I don't know what happened to her husband, but she wasn't with her husband anymore. And then she was saying all the things she said was a lie, and that her family knows that that wasn't her talking. Jesus. So I was like, okay, what? But I mean, this family's gone back and forth like this for years. So it's like, it's like, nope, she probably was told she was going to get fucking some shit done to her if she didn't retract her thoughts. And then, let's talk about the thing that stuck out to both of us the most in the documentary was that...
Which part?
Well, one of the things that really stuck with me was that when Wade's mom was talking to Michael wanted Wade, one of the little boys who was like 8, to live with... They're from Australia. Micheal Jackson wanted Wade to live with him for a year.
This is what sealed it for me. Yeah.
California. And the mom was like, no, that's my son. He's not living with you. Michael was like, I'm going to teach him all the dance moves. I'm going to,
this is gonna
boost
help
his career. This is going to be amazing for him. He wants to stay with me. Obviously, he's 8. I would rather stay with anyone else than my, not anyone else, my parents.
Yeah.
But true. And like they went back and forth, and she was like, "No, I'm not giving you my son." And then
share him with you.
What
but I won't
he said was, "I always get what I want."
That's what turned me.
Which is something I've never seen any like inkling that Micheal Jackson would ever have that kind of side, because the only thing you see is this persona he portrays in front of the camera.
Right.
And he's always been like isolated and secluded until he wants to make a statement. And like, it seems like 93 is when he made his first interview. And then these allegations came out. It's like, okay, now I have to fucking start trying to cover my ass because some shit's about to happen.
Right.
So then it led to me looking up some shit about Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh, shit.
And looking at some interviews from her. And the first interview I saw with her was in 2010, a year after he died.
Okay.
And she was like, they were married for 2 years. Do you remember that? It was really weird.
Yeah, and they
got married 20 days after she was divorced from her last husband.
Didn't they make out with each other weird, like at the MTV Awards?
Yeah, and she
hated it. I don't like it.
She hated it.
Oh.
It was a fucking show.
Well,
because she's like, I don't do that. Like, we never, but he, I know as his wife, I needed to do that. I needed to show some things.
Right.
It's like he brainwashed her too.
Right.
And it was really crazy.
He was trying to brainwash the United States with going, see, I like ladies. I don't like little boys' dicks. Like, that's what he was trying to do.
Exactly. And how a lot of people saw it.
Yeah. A lot of people saw it. Everyone was just uncomfortable.
It did make everyone uncomfortable.
I feel like it was probably the biggest, across America. You could probably hear it.
He tried to cover his ass.
Yeah.
And he just made himself look even more strange.
Yeah. It was uncomfortable. I remember watching that and going, this is just really uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they were married for 2 years. She said she was in love with him. She's like, it what? Like, she said they slept in the same room. And then at this time, I was like, wait, was this happening at the same time? But no, it was literally a year after the allegations came out. Okay, they got married in 94.
After all of them.
Oh, also another thing, in the Oprah interview with Michael, she's like, so we never see you with any women. Like, we never, like, have you ever had a relationship? And he's like, oh, yeah. And then she's like, are you in a relationship right now? He's like, yes, with Brooke Shields. And I was like, what? I never heard that they were dating. So then I looked that up. They were really good friends. They both had very similar upbringings because I think her family was famous too.
I don't remember.
But so they bonded over that, and they had a really good friendship. But Brooke Shields came out and said it was like never a relationship. Like, it was,
so there was all these
cute
little
to her
red
that he
flags,
would say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, that happened. Oh, and also Brooke Shields said that, where was it? Oh, he proposed to Brooke Shields.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, so he liked to propose. He
A
proposed
lot.
to one of the little boys, apparently.
He didn't propose. He had a wedding ceremony.
Oh, yeah, with the vows.
With fucking vows and everything.
Jesus.
And then, like, little fucking sex jewelry. It's nasty.
Ew, it was.
Yeah.
It was sex jewelry.
Well, you saw that video of him and Jimmy in the
jewelry
store,
store,
right?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, they're just in the jewelry store. They're not, like, doing anything, but...
Well, no,
he's
but it's
shopping for him.
I know it's not, like, cold proof, but it's pretty damn close.
And then, also, Jimmy said that when they would go shopping for jewelry together, remember, he was like... They would tell the clerks that he was shopping for a woman, and his finger was the perfect size.
For a little, no.
Why would you have a little boy put on a ring that you're getting a woman?
Yeah.
And how was that not a red flag to anyone? Because people, literally, AKA O.J. Simpson, people get a fucking way with murder when they're famous.
They do.
Because they can never do it.
Nope.
How could they do that? They're amazing.
His makeup artist told me that he's pretty much like a 9-year-old boy, so it put me at ease. If anybody else didn't have that star power, they'd be like, there's something fucking wrong with him then. And let me keep my child away. But again, I get it. I get it from the super fan point of view. It's just like that star power.
I'm one of those idiots.
And I do get it in that sense, but it's so hard to just rationalize with it.
Yeah. Especially when it's like you're letting your child sleep in bed with a man that's 35 years old.
I just have a hard time regardless. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if it's fucking Prince William.
Yeah.
So.
And like I don't want, like, this is obviously my own speculation, but like, and obviously everyone probably thinks this, but like so one of the boys, James, says that he built Neverland for James, or that Michael told him that. Didn't he?
I didn't know that.
You didn't hear that part?
Or
he was like, I'm building Neverland for you.
In between takes or something.
Anyways, well, maybe he didn't say that. But, so, in the Oprah interview, they walk around Neverland, and Michael's like, I always have children here. Like, every 3 weeks, I have a group of kids stay over, and, you know, they just have a hate, like, they do everything they want, whatever. And then he also talked about how he has 6 kids. They go into his movie theater, him and Oprah, and there's beds in, like, they talk about this in the Leaving Neverland documentary too, James does, but they have beds in the movie theater, but apparently they were hospital beds for little kids that were coming to stay that were sick, and they moved up and down and did all the things like a hospital bed would, and so they could stay in those rooms and watch a movie in the movie theater. But it was like, I feel like a lot of it was like a master design plan to like hide all this shit.
Absolutely.
Because literally he had more money than anyone in he had more money than he knew what to do with.
He could do whatever he wanted.
And he literally could do anything that he wanted.
Yeah.
But he knew, like, one of the things Lisa Marie Presley said was, she was like, he knew exactly, she said he was very manipulative, like, he could manipulate you into doing whatever he wanted you to do. And people didn't know that about him and didn't see that. And it was something that intrigued her about him.
Really?
Because she talks about how she wasn't really attracted to him at first, but then when she met him, he was like, I know you fucking think I'm gay and you think I'm fucking bleh. And like, she was like, I've never seen this Michael Jackson before. Yeah. And like, and then also at that time, like, she said that she liked being manipulated. Like, to Oprah, openly says that.
Why would she?
And that Michael knew that or something. So she was probably an easy target for him too.
But who likes being manipulated?
I don't know. She had a weird, crazy, fucked up childhood too.
Jesus.
We need to love each other.
I know, no shit. Jesus.
All
right. Well, that's a first.
So that was crazy. The little beds and the fucking, like, just everything was like a fucking cover up.
Yeah. I'm sure.
And also, the Lisa Marie Presley interview, she talks about how the reason they ended their relationship was because so there was a time, I don't know if you remember this, but he, like, collapsed on stage, like, it was, I don't know, 95, 96 or something.
I don't remember that specifically.
Anyway, he, like, collapsed in the middle of a performance.
Okay.
And he was rushed to the hospital, and, like, they kept telling her for 2 days, like, it was because of different things, and, like, she saw like, it was drug abuse, and he was addicted to drugs, and she was seeing this pattern, and she saw it in her, that's what happened to her father, Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
He died of drug overdose. So and also
like,
she talked about how Michael was kind of fascinated with talking about how Elvis Presley, like, the end of his life and how he died, and he would tell her, like, I feel like that's going to be me, that's how I'm going to end up, and like, I just thought that was weird that he would talk to her about that, and that's literally how he ended up dying.
Yeah. Manifest that shit.
And that's why she ended up ending the relationship with him, because things were getting weird for her and this drug addiction.
Right.
And she said that, so, like, Michael Jackson had these interviews around the time of the allegations, too, and some of them he said some shit, like, he admitted that he slept in bed with little boys and all this stuff. But Lisa Marie Presley said that she saw some of these interviews, and she was like, he was high as fuck. Like, he was high out of his mind. And it's like, what? So, like, I don't know. It just, this timeline of his life, like, so, like, once Jordy came out in 93 or whatever, it's because his dad saw him in bed with his son, and he was like, oh, fucking hell no.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And so that's when that came about. And also another little random fact is that Evan Chandler, Jordy's dad, after the trial that Michael Jackson was acquitted of all his charges, his dad committed suicide like 4 months after.
Oh, yeah, that was super sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like in, Wade's case. I mean, his father killed himself. And
yeah. And then also it said that Jordy, like, disappeared and, like, he, like, changed his identity.
Really?
Yeah. Probably because people were giving him death threats and shit.
Right? I don't blame him.
Who
was it? Jordy? Which was the cancer patient? Was that Jordy?
No.
Okay. Which was the cancer patient?
Gavin? I don't know.
Might have been Gavin, but
no, that's definitely one of the names. I don't know who exactly.
I think there was one article that was talking about. He was speaking about, like, getting his stories kind of sold or whatever, and he refused all these offers, and he said the truth will come out soon enough.
Yeah, I did.
And he was right. Yeah. So.
And yeah, it's just. It is sad thinking about, like, these some of them didn't come out for the last, 30 years, but it's just like, could you imagine that happening to you and trying to get justice for it and,
like,
nothing?
It? Yeah. No, I can't imagine that. And, yeah.
It's just crazy.
It is insane.
Yeah, so Jordy came out with this, and then Michael married fucking Lisa Marie. Like, he just obviously was trying to cover his.
He was. He was way more conniving than he kind of presents himself, and which all for a reason. So. Yeah.
Oh, and then at the same time, like, some of his maids were coming out and saying that they saw these kids.
They were accusing, like, him of doing that with Jimmy Safechuck, and saying, like, oh no, I saw his fucking hands down his pants, and and he still. What astounded me, because I guess it's more kind of intense when you watch all these things happen kind of smashed together in a documentary when you're seeing the multiple accusations happening. That even though he got, talked to or questioned to by the police like in 93, he was still fucking doing it. He didn't give a shit. Like, he just thought he was totally untouchable. Which in 2005 it kind of proved that, because he was acquitted. Yeah. So, I don't know.
And also, I was reading some of the, like, there's some random shit, like, he showed up to do you remember he, like, showed up to court in his pajamas one of the days?
Yeah, it was
and, like,
weird.
He, like, stopped everything because he had to, like, go to the bathroom for a really long time, and, like, he was doing all this weird shit during it, and that didn't even, like, deter anyone.
No.
And
well, he just did what he wanted, which, again, just showed how manipulative he was. But again, for me, it was totally black and white, but it wasn't. but it was for me, because again, just looking at it through eyes of not a fan, it was just like, he's fucking guilty. I don't understand this, but star power does a whole hell of a lot in a courtroom in terms of money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's. Yeah, so the whole thing has been like this huge, intense, amazing thing, just because I feel like the bottom line is,
That's not a ghost, that's the
I know, I was like, what was that? I don't like it, a brush against my ankles. Just really honing on the fact, like, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, we need to really be exposing the shit. Yeah. So, that is what I love about it, but, yeah, so, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, as much as I literally never wanted to know this or admit this, ever.
We're very sad.
Like, it is good. These people need to be exposed for this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
they do.
I mean, I feel like it's a new thing, like, every month that we're, but.
It is.
People need to know, like, everyone's can be fucked up.
Yeah.
And
doesn't matter.
Just because you think someone's a lawyer and they're, Harvard graduate doesn't mean they're not going to kill 30 women across the country, or
they'll know how to
just
get off.
Just because someone's Michael Jackson doesn't mean they're going to not masturbate your little boys. And you probably shouldn't ever let your kids sleep in bed with an...
Yeah.
That in itself is in-fucking sane.
Yeah, to me. Even though, and you do say, as a fan, like, even if it was Michael Jackson, I would never that would be you going like,
oh, Jed, you can sleep with Drake in bed.
Right. Just go ahead. Just go sleep with little Drake. Drake would never do that.
And, like, there's also other interviews, like, I forget which kid it was. It wasn't any of the boys in the documentary, but they said Michael Jackson... Like, they were all staying in a hotel, and Michael Jackson came to the mom's room and, like, sobbed to him, like, why won't you let him stay in this room with me? We're family. We're blah, like
a little baby
throwing a tantrum to have a little boy sleep in his room.
And he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
he got exactly what he wanted.
And, like, also, obviously, like, these kids,
they didn't know.
They're tiny,
little bodies,
little babies.
Yeah,
it's just so sad and gross.
It is,
and it's like, his like obsession with children has grew into this like pedophilia, and then he just obviously took it to the farthest level.
It's because he just didn't have a proper upbringing. I'm like, fuck off! Like, that's the dumbest excuse I could ever hear.
And also, in one of the interviews that I watched, he's like, the man interviewing him, I forget his name, it's in, what is it called, like, it's another Neverland documentary.
Right.
It's called something Neverland. And he's asking him about the allegations, and he's like, I would never hurt a child. I would never lay a finger on my children. And he was like, I would never abuse a child. That's not what I would ever do. I would never harm one. So it was like he disassociated it with abuse.
But to him, it wasn't abuse. To him, he was making love with them, and he was loving them, and because that's what he kept ingraining into Jimmy and to Wade, and I'm sure to all the other kids, is like, this is how we show our love. That's what he kept saying to them.
Yeah.
This is how we show our love for each other. And the like some of the people in the audience brought up some good points in the Oprah thing, and Oprah brought up a good point. I mean, she was just very fucking like, she's fucking like a New York lawyer in there. She was like, they need the facts really fast and like hard, like this is what it's in, like it kind of hurts, but you're like,
was that whole sentence a innuendo? Anyway,
but exactly, it was. But she talks about how it fucking feels good as a little boy to get masturbated. Like, so to him, it really wasn't. I'm not victim blaming or anything
like
like
was
that.
Like,
but
sweet, Michael Jackson's making my
like this
little wiener feel good.
Amazing, like for little boys.
And they don't know what it is. They don't know.
Yeah. And they kept saying that he was so gentle and he was so whatever. So it felt good to them.
And they
it felt like
safe
a good experience
with him.
Yeah, so it felt like, okay, so this is what normal friends do, because at the same time they were 7 and 10. Mm-hmm. They didn't know, like, well, I'm sure they knew, but like I'm sure like little Jimmy's friends were like, let's like touch each other's wieners and stuff like that. But like he was very good, and they talked about that. Like he cut them off. Like it's another form of abuse, is that abusive pattern, is that you cut everybody off and you isolate them and everything else, and that's what he was doing to these boys. So especially
that's what he fucking did to himself,
right? And that's what I mean. Poor little Wade. I mean, he was somebody who came from Australia, didn't know anybody, so Michael was his only friend in the world for a little bit. So that's a perfect victim right there.
And he's bribing this family with, like, he's giving these families, like, the dream life. Like, he's, like, they're living this dream life. Also, he's taking these children on fucking shopping sprees and all sorts of shit. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
But no. But, like, it felt good to them. And even though they might have felt wrong about it in the time, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just didn't know because they were little kids and they don't know how to articulate that, or go like, this might have been a little weird that he's the only friend that does this with me, but they get so wrapped up in it. But this is such a weird thing to say, but like, I get how for boys it's confusing, more confusing than it is for girls, because for a girl who gets, you know, it's a different, it hurts, so it's just different. So it's a whole different, I don't want to say it's a whole different experience, because there's some boys that are probably that age that are like, this is wrong, I don't like this is terrifying, 1,000%. But if you have,
but also
like
as girls,
Jackson,
we're like, I don't know. But
for Michael Jackson, at the same time, he's who he is, and then making you feel really good. So I would be just as confused. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of up to that parent to be like, hey, that's not normal for that 35-year-old man. Yeah. So I could side with the parents if it was like a one-time event, like, all right, I'll let you sleep in his room for this time because you guys really want to
but not for
hang out and watch videos. But this is the only time, then you're sleeping in my room. And then it was just like, well, then it just kind of happened. Like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, you can't.
They would play so hard. Oh, this is another thing.
That's
like,
what it was. Like, they were playing so hard. They would just pass. Like, what were they playing?
There were always kids in the room, like blah blah blah, like. But they would just play so hard. Like, he would do that to them, I feel like.
Right, but if you go back to what you were saying, how he said, like, I would never abuse them, in his head, he was not lying. I would never hurt
he wasn't.
them.
He chose his words very
lying. So
specifically.
He was very conniving if you just listened to his words.
You do. He very carefully, and especially knowing all this now and watching these interviews now, it's like.
He believed that he was just like, oh, I can just get to have whatever I want, and it might not seem right, but it's right in whatever weird fucking mindset.
I'm not doing what my father did to me. I'm not beating
the
kids.
Shit out of them. They're not
loving them
after the event happens. They, but to me at the same time, when Wade talks about the very first night he was sleeping at Neverland Ranch, and he fucking walks downstairs and sees Michael Jackson crying, that's manipulative. That's, oh, I just don't want you to leave. I'm like, who the fuck? The whole thing is just a big red flag, and I don't understand. But again, if a child, he doesn't.
But he made those families seem like, oh, but I never had a family life, and I just love, like, he talks about how he loves the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And
which at the same time,
it was master manipulation.
But at the same time, you feel bad for him because in that sense, you're like, he's probably not lying. He loved being part of that family. I'm sure he loved going there. I think that was probably one of the most authentic things that he did do was go over there and be like, I just want it to be normal and I want it to be. But then he took it to an extreme and then used that to get in. So it's just like, even if it was like in good intentions,
he obviously took it.
He didn't know when to stop.
And literally, these were like his first sexual. I feel like these were his first sexual relationships.
Right. I can't remember. There was another article, and I can't remember
because he didn't feel comfortable around adults. He talks about it all the time too.
Well, I think that was part of the problem. Even though he didn't. He knew it was wrong, but he didn't know what was right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like again, not victim blaming. What he did was despicable, but I think he had his own dark demons that he just didn't even know it was top to bottom.
And he never was able to get the help because he was famous his whole life and no one thought anything was wrong with him.
He's like, well, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to
keep fucking doing it.
Because he liked what he liked and he just like, well, I can do whatever the fuck I want because I'm Micheal Jackson and I love what I like. Even though but he knew that it was wrong because he kept telling them that it was wrong. In a sense, that he said, if we get caught, you're going to go to jail forever. Our life will be over. You can't tell, hey, Jimmy's mom, you have to tell him to stop holding my hand. And I'm sure his dad said
similar things to them when they were little.
Right. But did you ever kind of notice that dynamic, to kind of shift gears a little bit, but did you ever notice that dynamic between, I know Jimmy was always really sad looking, like you fucking, like, shot his puppy in front of his face and then ran it over several times, like, back and forward on a car.
Yeah.
But... which is fair. I'm not making fun of his face, but where Wade was a different whatever, and Wade's stories were more graphic. And now that as I'm kind of talking through,
I thought the Jimmy's were kind of more graphic sometimes.
Well, that's fair because I feel like, because now I'm talking through it, I'm just like, well, Wade's was more graphic on like a physical, like I'm gonna describe every single little thing, like the fucking inch and whatever. He doesn't really, but you know what I mean. So. Yeah. Where Jimmy is like, it's like entangled and laced with this like in love relationship thing. Where to me, what I took away, Wade's wasn't. Wade's was like this physical thing between him and Micheal. It was a physical, at least from what Wade kind of portrayed. It could have been just as deep as Jimmy and Michael's relationship, but Jimmy and Michael's relationship seemed to be a little more deep and to be a little bit more like relationship, and like this was his boyfriend he was taking on tour. He was taking his boyfriend and courting him on tour and taking him on stage, and they were like a couple. Where how Wade was describing it, and maybe that's just how he again portrayed it. It wasn't like he was a couple with him. He was like
we're friends, and
he was like a friends with benefits, and that's what I took away too. So I'm wondering if that was a different dynamic. To me, that's what I took away.
Yeah.
To me, it was like a bunch of friends with benefits things where Jimmy was like, he was in a fucking relationship with him. That's what I took away.
That's so fucking weird,
But that's what I took away from it. That's why Jimmy was like this hurt little puppy dog where he didn't want to be up there with Oprah, but he did. But he was just like, I still feel like I'm betraying him. And Wade was like, fuck that guy. Which I'm like, yeah, you go, Wade. But that was what was fascinating to me, that these two, where they were having the same experiences, but they weren't.
Yeah.
And then it broke my heart when, Jimmy felt like he was really replaced. Well, he was. And then he just cried for his mom on that couch. I can't imagine what that must have been like for him.
And, yeah, it's just mind-boggling. I'm like, obvious, like, it fascinates me.
It is like very fascinating.
That's why I think I like, crime stuff now.
All
and
the time.
all this. It's like,
shit.
How can people think, like...
or do what they do? How do you sit there and...
I just want to know why people think this way and make my own conclusions from it, I guess, but... It's just like
that's
because
totally justified and fair.
Because I don't
think like that.
Because I don't think
I
like
would
that,
if you did, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. That's for sure.
You wouldn't.
I'd be
you
6 feet
might
under.
Be sitting in that chair
forever, like a little mummy. She's mummified me.
Oh God, that's really gross.
Yeah.
So, another little blurb from Lisa Marie that I thought was really so. It was really interesting hearing her talk about him and their relationship because it was so parallel to Jimmy and Wade talking about their relationships with Micheal Jackson. Like, you know, Wade and Jimmy, or at least Wade talks about how even so, like, they wanted to save him. They felt like they could help him. Like, even the families felt like that. And Lisa Marie Presley said the same fucking shit about him. And she, like, paralleled Micheal Jackson. Like, she's like, it's crazy how similar Micheal Jackson's life was to my father's.
Right.
And one thing she said that stuck out to me was they both had the luxury of creating whatever reality they wanted around them. And they could have... oh shit! I need to
you
find
fucked it up.
I did. I was like,
you
I didn't write it out because it was too long. Where is it? I'm gonna find it. Okay. So Presley said they could have the kinds of people who are going to go with their program. If they weren't, then they could be disposed of. Wait. That was not the right thing. But basically, they had the luxury of creating whatever reality they wanted around them. And that's basically what he did with Neverland, with everything he did.
It's true.
And then, they could have all kinds of people who are going to go with their program or not go with their program. If they weren't, then they could be disposed of. And then I further went into reading about how their, some of his bodyguards were like gang members, like legit fucking like gang members. And some of the maids that came out saying that he would do this, like they said that I think I have one of those things. What one of the maids said. So this woman her last name is McManus. She worked as Jackson's maid at Neverland from 1990 to 94. And she said about 3 months into her employment, she started feeling uneasy. She was invited to clean Michael's bedroom and noticed that there were a lot of little boys, and that's all that would hang around in there.
Jesus.
You wouldn't see little girls. And she also said she saw some stuff that she didn't think appropriate for Micheal Jackson. Micheal Jackson was kissing, I think she's talking about Robson, actually, in this. She said she saw him kissing on him. Oh, it was Jordy. She saw him kissing on him, his hand very close to his crotch. She said it was very terrible to see. And then she said, I was threatened. His bodyguards told me that if I ever came up on TV that they could hire a hitman to take me out, slice my neck, would never find my body.
Jesus.
And then...
sounds like some good folks.
Another maid said that there was a child sitting on his lap and he had his hands close to his genitalia, like cupping it.
Ugh.
And then there was another maid that said one time she walked in the room and Michael and a little boy were like in the bed. There were no shirts on. They looked like they were naked, but the sheets were on. Right. But it was just like... But then he hired these crazy-ass bodyguards who would fucking...
Yeah.
Get people if... You know, get people? Is that just
get people?
Anyway.
Ice them out.
Yeah.
Ice them.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Ice. And then that's funny that you said ice because Lisa Marie Presley said something about how he would ice people.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, what? You would never think, like,
right.
Little baby Micheal Jackson.
But that's what
he wasn't a little
thought.
baby. He was a giant fucking grown man, and that's the problem.
But
people thought of him as a little kid.
Yeah, and that's what he played off of.
He did.
He was really good at it.
And he did have a really fucked up upbringing.
He did, and I'll give him
really
that.
sad.
And that's horrible, but
it should have made him be better.
work through it like a fucking adult instead of just going, yeah, I'm just going to touch little boys instead. How about that? That seems way easier and cheaper than therapy.
And it was way, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that he even needed anything to be cheaper. He was getting $200,000 checks when he was 12 years old.
Well, maybe he didn't have any more money paying off the families whose children
true.
they touched. So he was like, well, I'm already deep in this now. Yeah. So.
And then, like, it just was like a huge downward spiral from there. And it's just so sad to see because then he was just like,
well, again, he was getting away
drugs.
With it. But he was getting away with it.
Yeah.
So how can you just...
I wonder if...
Yeah.
I hope he never did anything to his kids.
I hope not either. But it's interesting because I did read another article where Paris... Not Paris Hilton. Wrong Paris.
There's only one Paris.
Right. Where...
And it's not the city.
Is it the hotel in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Where she talks about how she supports her father, but she doesn't defend him. Like, she says that it's not her job. So I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
That she probably knows he did some shit?
Right. So, but I always wondered if, like, Micheal Jackson abused his kids.
In that sense,
but, I mean... They're really his kids. I mean, let's be honest.
The oldest son seems... but he made him wear masks everywhere. Like,
yeah, but I mean, like, they're his kids because no matter whatever their lineage is, it's that he raised them. Micheal Jackson raised them. Yeah, they're his children. But as for their actual paternity, I don't quite believe that.
No.
They all look white as fuck. Yeah, so...
Yeah. Well, I think Paris looks like a Jackson for sure.
Maybe, yeah. For sure. I mean, compared to the other ones.
But know what's fucking weird?
What?
So, Lisa Marie Presley and him.
Yeah.
Like she left him because he was doing drugs and shit like that. And she was like, I can't deal with this shit again.
That's fair. I don't blame her.
I can't go through this again.
I'd be running.
And also, during this time, he, like, really wanted a baby with her.
Right.
And she never had a baby with him.
Which is good.
And literally, like, 2 months after they, like, broke up, he got this woman, Debbie, pregnant.
Right. Or did he?
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess during their relationship during his relationship with Lisa Marie, he would be like, why don't you want to have my baby? Debbie will. Like, she knew about Debbie, so it was, like, obviously a retaliation to Lisa. Yeah. But he just wanted a kid, and obviously was just trying to cover his ass.
Right.
Just a fucked up situation.
The whole thing is fucked up.
Yeah. It's just so sad.
Yeah, I mean, really the biggest question was I was wondering if you were going to believe this whole story, and it sounds like you do.
At first, when I was first hearing about it, I was like, whatever. Fuck this. Like, that's so dumb. Like, oh, they're just trying to get money. Which is an easy fucking thing to say about anyone. Like,
which is fair.
And a lot of people are out to get fucking money. That's not a thing that people don't do. Yeah. And it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
Especially when someone is literally the most famous person in the world.
Right.
Of course you can be like, oh, you just want some money from me.
Right. Whatever.
Which, I mean... That was a little part of it. I mean, Jordy's family settled for $20 million.
25.
25
million.
And they didn't charge him with anything. I guess having your son be abused is worth that much.
It's worth that much money.
But it's,
the whole thing is just fucked.
Lisa Marie Presley just talked about very similar, like, feelings that he would invoke on these boys, and, like, she's like, when you, like, because, he wasn't interviewed by anyone, he never let anyone in, so he would let certain people in, and they would feel like the most special people in the whole world, and even Lisa Marie felt this way, and it was really, it wasn't awesome, but
awkward.
It was cool to see the, like, it's oh, this is a grown-ass fucking woman that literally the same thing happened to her.
Right.
Because he used her in whatever game he needed to do, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just fucked up.
The whole thing is
and
just
even like Oprah, like she was talking about when she met him and how like it's so exciting to like hang out with him. I just want to be his friend. Like, you're fucking. It's everyone's starstruck. He's the most and fame then like obviously there was.
It's just a different fame.
Crazy fame started maybe 30 years earlier. You know, like with the Beatles.
I was just gonna say the Beatles.
And then
Elvis. Yeah. Just crazy.
It's gross that these motherfuckers can get away with this shit, but it's good that we're exposing this because it just goes to show not that you can't trust anyone, but really
you can't trust anybody.
And you shouldn't just trust people because of
I mean, I just really wanted to know if you believed it, and you believe it wholeheartedly. That you went down
I'm like a changed fucking woman.
I know. It kind of sucks.
Seriously, watching that felt like a week out of my life. And it was...
It'll knock the breath out of you.
4 hours.
No, it'll knock the breath out of you.
It knocked the wind out of me.
Well, that too.
People are like, I mean, he does still, like... have amazing music. He's incredible. Like he's unlike anyone that's ever walked this earth.
Right. But now that will always be overshadowed. Not foreshadowed. Like it's not like a foreshadowing of what's to come, but it will always be overshadowed by this.
Yeah. It just sucks.
So it's awful.
Another thing I learned today that I didn't really know about him, which is actually a cool thing about him. Yeah. It's not negative or horrible.
Well, what is it?
So I know he like makes like noises with his like he does like beatboxy kind of things. Yeah. But I didn't realize like how fucking much he beatboxed on his songs. Like I forget which song it was. Like the whole beginning that I definitely thought was like at least a drum machine is his mouth. Like he's incredible. Like in the Oprah interview, he does a little bit for her.
A little riff
on beatboxing. And yeah, he just. He definitely played into that. I'm a little baby.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he did. So I mean, again.
And I mean, I'm sure part of it was genuine, but also
part of it was genuine. But I feel like that 75% of it was pretty conniving.
Yeah, and Lisa Marie Presley was like. Yeah, he always plays a victim and all this other shit. He's like, that's just for the... Like, she said that. Like, but it wasn't in an interview, like, where she was trying to, like...
disparage him?
Like, and get back at him or anything. It was, like...
being honest.
She was truly being honest, I think.
Just laying down some truth.
And also some of the things she said, like, about their relationship that she felt really, like, good about and genuine about was, like, fucked up. Like the part about he knew I liked being manipulated and like he knew that
that's like, weird to me.
I was like, what, lady?
You crazy.
And then the whole thing about the MTV
that
kiss that she was like, I squeezed his hand so hard after that his hand was blue. He like showed me because I did not want to do that at all. It's not what I'm about. But she was like, as his wife, I mean, I knew I had to do these things and I had to do some things. And then also, there was a Diane Sawyer interview with Micheal Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. And all these interviews, like, they're asking about his allegations. And it's like, he's like, yeah, ask me anything you want. I'm not nervous. I'm never nervous. I'm a fucking, like...
open book.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Diane Sawyer asks him, like, kind of a very, like, tough question. And Lisa Marie Presley's trying to, like, answer it. And Diane Sawyer kind of interrupts her. And you see Micheal Jackson look at Lisa Marie Presley. He's like, didn't you want to finish? Like, they planned this whole thing. Like, didn't you want to finish what you were just about to say that I was going to make you say, Lisa Marie?
Right, and then I can follow up with that question.
Exactly.
Like,
It was like sickening.
Ugh.
And it literally like it just
I'll have to watch that shit.
Yeah, it's very interesting to watch.
Damn.
I was like yelling at him the whole time.
As you should.
But I was just like, oh my God, this is so crazy and weird. Oh, another word I say a lot. Crazy.
Crazy. I like
Expand our vocab.
Yeah, we need to. It's getting a little small. Kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
So are we 30-ish and getting tired?
Probably. I'm a little bit. I'm not rubbing my eyes quite yet, but I'm getting close.
Your eyeliner looks good.
It does.
Your tattooed eyeliner.
Well, thank God.
Do we need a roll for next week?
Oh, we probably do. Yes.
Shit, Yahtzee's at the barn.
Oh, I mean, no, it's not. No, it's not. I have one in my purse.
Oh my God,
30-ish,
you
and I carry dice in my purse. Die? Nope.
Just
I carry
a die. Oh, you took the pink die.
I took it's my lucky die.
Okay. Well,
So
this
anyway,
concludes our Michael Jackson special.
Yeah, it was a little ranty, but that's okay. This was
I just
the
wanted to-
ultimate of, pop culture, so we had to kind of cover it.
We did.
And
We really
so
did.
I know it might have been a little more down than our usual podcast, but this was not a very.
I hope
funny
you guys
subject.
learned some shit that you didn't know, because I definitely did.
This one was a
today.
little, since it's so fresh and whatever. Not that child abuse is ever funny, but it was a little hard to kind of be bantery in this one, because again, it's very fresh and it's, I can't even save myself from that. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up. That's.
No, it was just a.
The point was,
I had to do this as a podcast because I had a lot to say and get out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the people that I've argued multiple times with about this exact issue.
Yeah.
Did you feel 30 for any reason this week?
I'm feeling 30 right now because it's only like 11 o'clock and I feel exhausted. So, and I didn't really do anything today, so.
You had a long day.
I did. I'm gonna say that's crime. We'll do that next week.
2.
What is it?
Hold on, I gotta look. It's nostalgia.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, sweet. Did I feel 30 this week?
Did you? I mean, I feel 30 every second of my life, but
and then I felt like, holy shit, I'm 30. What the fuck am I doing? That's why I felt 30 this week.
I think that's how I felt when I hit like 28.
I mean, yeah, but
I
this
get what
week
you're saying,
for
though.
sure, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Brie,
I gotta get my
you're
shit
30.
together. Yeah.
You are 30, aren't you?
Aren't ya?
Probably.
Get that shit together.
I feel like I'm doing some. I'm in a transition phase right now, so, and that's fine,
Yeah.
and that's okay, and that's great.
I've been in a transition phase since like 2005, but it's fine.
It's good.
Good.
Anywho.
No, it's good. It's been a low key 30 weeks, so I'm perfectly happy with that. So just dealing with all this Neverland bullshit is even
I'm glad
and I'm not even a
is
fan.
all
It's
off
just
my
intense.
chest.
Yeah, I was just glad that we kind of just did a dual special episode to get that all off our chest.
The Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. The Michael Jackson special.
There you go.
Oh, I already knew that. So one time, I was getting my oil changed in Denver,
All right.
and I walked to a coffee shop
All right.
across the street. Car took about an hour and a half or so on this.
I feel like we're
day.
like in this weird noir
And-
film, and you're like a
Ready?
detective, and you're about to tell me
I
about a murder.
feel like a fucking detective today.
You look a little crazed and a little dilated in the pupils, so yeah, you look a little crazed.
Anyway.
Detective-like.
So I was in this coffee shop, and there's a basket of books.
Books?
Many books.
Okay.
And one of them was a 450-page book about Michael Jackson. And
Did
so I was
you
like,
take it?
no, I didn't take
Oh.
it, which I feel really stupid now, and I really wish I had it today.
You should have.
But I read some random shit in there, and they talked about Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
And I read mostly about his childhood and, like, the fucked up shit Joe did to them.
Yeah.
And, like, Joe used to bring prostitutes.
Oh.
So they would all stay in the
That's
hotel
nice.
room. The kids would stay out in, like, the main part. And Joe would bring, like, prostitutes into the hotel room in front of his kids and then go have sex with them in the next room while their mom's just at home wherever. They're on tour. And he would just fuck some random ladies in the next bedroom with them. And then I found out also his brothers used to do the same thing to him when he was a little boy. Like,
They would just
they'd
bring
be
home
like,
prostitutes?
Michael was like, yeah, my job was to pretend sleep, and my brothers would fuck girls in the room when I was just like a tiny baby. So he was obviously, he was also brought up in like Hollywood and shit, exposed to a bunch of fucked up shit at a young age. And
So,
it just spewed like all this shit.
To
like,
him, it didn't really matter that
it's
their
so
parents were
sad.
sleeping in the room next to him, because it was like, this is what I did
yeah.
when I was younger.
I'll just put these parents
Yeah.
next to the room that I'm fondling their children in, and it'll
Yeah.
be fine because I set all these things up in my house so I know someone's coming, or I have locks on my door, and I have, like,
Fucking
hearing
movie
all
cut the
that
shit
shit
out of it?
too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Fucking stupid.
And just, it's just sad. And
All of it
hopefully
is just sad.
people can be encouraged to speak up for themselves from
Yeah.
all these things.
I'm very curious to see if any more victims come out of the woodwork, because
Yeah.
there has to be at least a dozen more.
Yeah.
At least.
There has to be.
But we'll see what happens.
I wonder if Macaulay will ever come to
I
terms.
don't know. To me, I feel
And maybe
like
he never did anything with Macaulay Culkin because, like,
so you just
Macaulay Culkin could sue you for more money than Michael Jackson.
Right.
Like, they were, like, bull, you know?
yeah, it's true.
And
You never know. I mean, I'm sure there's
Who
got to be
knows?
some situations where, I mean, Michael couldn't have touched every single little kid, and
No,
I
he couldn't
can't
have.
imagine him touching. Maybe he picked and choose who he could control. Maybe he didn't do Macaulay Culkin because maybe it's somebody who he couldn't control. And maybe he did, and we'll never know.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, we'll never know the real truth of any of it
No.
anymore.
You're right.
So, I mean, we will. I mean, even if you get people that are alive and are convicted of sexual assault of children and they never admit it or whatever, and you never get that justice or oh my word. Satisfaction. Jesus. They never get that kind of satisfaction just because, they're not going to fucking admit to it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. Exactly.
And on that note, I think
we good, right?
I got it.
I think
I
we got it all.
I only had
We
4
got it all off
pages
our
of shit I
chest,
wrote.
and again, sorry
Look
for
at
that
all
one.
this
That one
shit I
being a
wrote
little
down
bit.
today.
Oh yeah, look at you, and you got through all your notes. Look how prepared you were.
I was fucking on.
I like it.
Whoa!
But yeah. So you want to give another shout out to our Instagram
Oh yeah, guys, we got an Instagram.
and an email.
Oh my God, we have an email now.
It's
So if
super
you guys
official.
want to email us, your love letters, your fan letters, your suggestions, your concerns, your fact checks, your grammar corrections.
Well,
actually,
yeah.
don't send us mean things.
well.
I mean, you
They
can be
can send
nice,
us honest
constructive.
things, but I feel like
Be constructive.
with the fact check, they'll be like, here is 75 pages. I'm like, that's fair.
Yeah. If someone wants to fact check us that bad, I feel very special. So if
It's
you want to
true.
fact check us and
know.
send us a report, that's fine.
It's just like being in school all over again. We gotta be on our shit.
Yes,
Like
we
we're
do.
speaking shit in the microwaves. The
When we're
microphones.
speaking to the microwave. So we have Instagram.
Yes.
It's 30-ish, but we spell it incorrectly because we're 30 and we don't know how to spell.
It's true.
We knew how to spell it, but we on purposely didn't spell it right because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny,
We're
guys.
funny. 'Cause we're funny.
Find us on Instagram at 30ish, THURDYISH, 30ish. Do you want me to sing my song for them? Or should I wait
you?
that?
Or
wait for that.
That's a treat for the ears. You got to give the whole ambiance with that. So we got to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That'll be coming
I
up later.
sang already a little bit today, so I'll save that for the next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, find us on Instagram, and then we have a Gmail now. If you want to email us, it's 30ish@gmail.com.
Saying of the
spelled
30ish
the same way.
Yeah.
THURDYISH. 30ish
@gmail.com. Yeah.
And maybe someday we'll have a Facebook, and
maybe.
also
We'll see
soon
if
we'll
our
have ads.
budget can span for that free
so we can
Facebook
get that
page.
Money.
Yeah.
Oh, Facebook. Let's do a MySpace.
Yeah. Let's be honest.
Let's
We can pick out
get
a
an
wicked
AIM screen name.
Hmm?
Do you want to get an AIM screen name?
Yeah.
30ish.
That pin 15 is.
Have you been watching?
I've watched the entire season.
The AOL episode,
that was pretty funny. It was
I was
legit.
like screaming the whole time, like,
It was-
oh my god, this is exactly what it was like.
It's true.
All right, good night, everyone, or good
night.
morning, or
Sleep
good afternoon.
Yeah, whatever your
Whatever
salutation is.
Yeah, a lot of people have told me they've listened to this on their way to work.
Oh, see? Well, then good morning. Watch out for that car!
Ah! Watch out
I didn't
for
mean to
that
scream in your ear. I
tree.
apologize. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Is that you picking your nose in your car? I
Oh.
saw that, you sicko. Ooh, I'm going to start doing things like that. This is fun.
Just in the middle of the episode, just randomly?
Yeah, so you're like, hey! Why'd
you
you
go.
just
Okay.
fucking, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't
Forget.
matter.
Okay,
It's fine.
I'll come up with more things to do for
We'll
that.
make a little
I'll
list, put
figure
on
that
this
out.
giant whiteboard or
Plan
whatever.
that out.
Yeah.
All right, well, good
Okay.
night.
Good night.
We're signing off.
Yes. Again, the next one will be a
10-4.
little bit more upbeat.
Yeah, keep listening.
It's all good.
We're just going to keep cranking them out for y'all.
like a little machine.
So I'm nostalgia next week, and you are crime.
Criminy crime.
Am I nostalgia or?
Yeah, you're nostalgia.
Good.
You are nostalgia.
Oh, I know what I was going to do.
Oh, don't tell anybody.
I won't.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, love you.